The deep space exploration vessel Rinvac drifted silently through the darkness of the unexplored outer rim. Its crew, a team of Karavian scientists and navigators, prided themselves on being the vanguard of discovery for their species. However, none of them were prepared for the strange distress signal they intercepted, a signal unlike anything they had encountered before. The signal was chaotic and crude, filled with erratic pulses of sound and light. At first, they thought it was a natural phenomenon, perhaps the dying cries of a collapsing star or the static whispers of a nebula. But as they decoded it, patterns emerged. These patterns told stories. On board the ship's bridge, Chief Scientist Thor watched intently as the visuals from the decoded signal played on a holographic display. The entire crew had gathered to witness the spectacle. "What is this madness?" Thor muttered, his bioluminescent skin dimming. A reflex of his species when confronted with something disturbing. The images showed primitive creatures, bipedal, fragile, yet filled with an energy that defied logic. They called themselves humans. The crew leaned closer as the display projected scenes of massive wars, the launching of crude space vessels, and unrelenting storms that ravaged the humans' homeworld, a planet they referred to as Earth. "They fight their own kind," murmured one of the navigators. "Why would they do this?" The scenes of warfare were brutal. Explosions lit up the skies, and mushroom clouds rose over devastated cities. Soldiers marched into battle with weapons that spewed fire and metal, destroying everything in their path. Yet, for every image of destruction, there were images of resilience. Humans rebuilding their cities, inventing technologies, and reaching for the stars. "What kind of species thrives on such chaos?" Another crew member asked, his voice filled with unease. Thor's tendrils quivered as he examined the data. Their history is a paradox. They destroy, yet they create. They are fragile, yet they endure. He turned to his assistant. "Continue the analysis. I want to know everything about this species." As the hours passed, the crew's discomfort grew. The signal wasn't just a random broadcast. It was a deliberate attempt to communicate with the galaxy. A specific portion of the signal contained coordinates, a direct invitation to find them. "It's a warning," said Commander Irith, the head of the Rinvac's military contingent. His tone was grim. "These humans are broadcasting their capacity for destruction. They're trying to intimidate anyone who might come near." Thor shook his head. "No, I don't think so. Look at this." He pointed to a segment of the broadcast. It was the Voyager 1 Golden Record, a carefully curated collection of humanity's knowledge, music, and greetings in dozens of languages. "They want to be found. This isn't intimidation. It's desperation. They're reaching out into the void, hoping someone will answer." Commander Iritha's bioluminescent markings brightened with agitation. "Desperate or not, these creatures are dangerous. Look at their weapons, their ability to wage war. If they can do this to their own kind, what will they do to us?" The room fell silent as the question lingered in the air. As the crew continued their analysis, they uncovered more disturbing truths about humanity. They learned about nuclear weapons capable of wiping out entire cities. They learned about biological warfare, climate crises, and machines that turned the tides of battle. But they also saw glimpses of human ingenuity, medical breakthroughs, artistic creations, and their unyielding desire to explore the stars. "What frightens me," Thor finally admitted, "is not their capacity for destruction. It's their ability to adapt. They've survived plagues, wars, and catastrophes that would have annihilated most species. And they've come out stronger each time." The data was shared with the Karavian Council of Galactic Affairs. The Council's initial response was disbelief. How could a species so primitive, barely capable of interstellar travel, be such a threat? But the more they analyzed humanity's history, the more their unease grew. "They are unpredictable," one council member declared during an emergency meeting. "Their survival instincts override logic. They will sacrifice anything, everything for a chance to continue. That makes them dangerous." Thor, summoned to the meeting to present his findings, tried to argue otherwise. "Yes, they are dangerous, but they are also curious. Their signal is not a declaration of war. It's an invitation. They want to be part of the greater galactic community. And if they decide to dominate it instead, another council member countered. The debate raged for hours. Ultimately, a decision was made to quarantine the region of space containing Earth. Any Caravian vessels found approaching the Sol system would be considered in violation of galactic law. Back aboard the Rinvac, Vralakthor watched as the ship prepared to leave the Sol sector. He stared out at the distant star that housed Earth, his mind racing with unanswered questions. "Perhaps we've made a mistake," he murmured. "Perhaps they are not the monsters we fear." But deep down, he couldn't ignore the unease growing in his core. If the humans ever found a way to break free of their isolation, what would they become? Centuries passed, but the echoes of that first encounter with humanity spread across the galaxy. What began as a classified Caravian study of Earth turned into a wildfire of rumors and legends. Humanity, a species confined to a single planet, became one of the most feared topics in interstellar circles. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Assembly, stories of humans were told in hushed tones. The Caravians, once cautious researchers, had become unwilling heralds of the human legend. Tales of Earth's violent history and humanity's improbable survival were retold across star systems, with each telling growing more fantastical and dire. "They live on a death world," an Iskran merchant whispered to his crew as they docked at a bustling trade station. "Their planet teems with predators, poisonous plants, and natural disasters. And yet, they thrive." A group of listeners leaned in, wide-eyed. The merchant continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial tone. "They don't just survive. They dominate. Their oceans are ruled by monsters with rows of teeth. Their skies are filled with storms that tear their cities apart. And their blood. It's red, the color of violence itself." The listeners recoiled in shock. To them, blood was typically green, blue, or even transparent. The thought of a species whose very essence reflected aggression was deeply unsettling. As the legend spread, the truth was warped. Humanity's nuclear tests became tales of planetary-scale weapons capable of wiping out entire systems. Their wars were exaggerated into galaxy-wide conflicts. Even Earth's fauna became part of the mythos. A simple grizzly bear was described as a land predator capable of felling 100 warriors with its claws, while Earth's microorganisms were rumored to be the deadliest assassins in the universe. But it wasn't just hearsay. Some alien species had attempted to verify the stories, and their findings only fueled the fear. A covert exploration team from the insectoid Zoltrax collective landed on Earth, disguised as meteorological drones. The operation was meant to be a simple reconnaissance mission, but it turned into a disaster. The team's biological shielding proved insufficient against Earth's pathogens. Within weeks, the Zoltrax operatives were rendered incapacitated by diseases humans had long since learned to manage. The survivors returned to their homeworld, broken and infected, carrying first-hand accounts of humanity's immune system, a defense so robust it seemed like a weapon in itself. "Their bodies are fortresses," one Zoltrax scientist reported. "They endure toxins and diseases that would obliterate our kind. To invade their planet would be suicide." The failed mission solidified humanity's reputation as an unstoppable force. The Galactic Assembly convened an emergency summit to address the growing paranoia. Some argued for preemptive action, while others advocated for total isolation of the Sol system. "Why take the risk?" a delegate from the crystalline Surlock species argued. "If they ever leave their world, they could bring ruin to the galaxy." Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity remained blissfully unaware of its terrifying reputation. To them, the stars were a frontier of hope, a place to find allies and answers. But to the rest of the galaxy, humans were a nightmare waiting to awaken. And so, the legend grew. Tales of resilience and brutality, of a species that defied extinction and thrived on adversity. A legend that would shape the galaxy's fear of the red-blooded creatures of Earth. The year was 2207 when humanity finally crossed the threshold from dreams to reality, developing faster than light travel. The breakthrough united Earth's nations, giving birth to the Stellar Exploratory Corps, tasked with charting the nearby star systems. Their mission was one of peace and discovery, But their journey into the stars would quickly turn into something far more perilous. The ESS Pathfinder, humanity's first exploratory fleet, entered the Alpha Centauri system with cautious optimism. The crew, composed of scientists, diplomats, and engineers, marveled at the binary stars illuminating the void. As they approached the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri b, their sensors detected faint energy readings, artificial, unmistakably alien. First contact, Captain Lila Sanchez whispered, her voice filled with awe. Send a standard greeting broadcast. Let them know we come in peace. The message was sent, encoded in simple mathematical patterns designed to demonstrate humanity's intelligence and non-hostile intent. But instead of a response, the fleet's long-range sensors lit up with warnings. Ships, dozens of them, emerged from the shadow of the planet. These aren't explorers, the Pathfinder's tactical officer muttered. They're a blockade. The alien ships belonged to the Caravian Defense Fleet. The Caravians had maintained surveillance on the Sol system for centuries, their fears of humanity growing with each whispered legend. News of humanity's faster-than-light capabilities had sent shockwaves through their command. Now they stood ready to prevent the humans from advancing further. The Caravian commander, Calric, issued a single message to the Pathfinder. Turn back. Leave this system. Humanity must not expand. The message was clear, but Captain Sanchez refused to retreat. She opened a channel to negotiate, her voice firm yet calm. We are not here to fight. We seek only to explore and share knowledge. Please, let us speak. The Caravians, however, saw this as a ploy. To them, humanity's history of conquest and aggression made diplomacy an empty gesture. Calric ordered the blockade to advance, their ships firing warning shots. Evasive maneuvers, Sanchez shouted, the bridge erupting into chaos. The Pathfinder fleet, though not designed for combat, was far from defenseless. Humanity's ingenuity shone as they deployed adaptive AI systems and guerrilla tactics. Their ships utilized rapid evasive patterns, outmaneuvering the Caravian vessels. Advanced electromagnetic countermeasures disrupted the enemy's targeting systems, turning the tide of the battle. The Caravians were unprepared for such tactics. Their fleets, accustomed to predictable engagements, faltered against humanity's unorthodox strategies. Despite being outnumbered, the human fleet managed to disable several Caravian ships while avoiding heavy casualties. But victory came at a cost. Proxima Centauri b's orbit became a graveyard of wreckage, and the humans, though triumphant, knew they had made an enemy of one of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. As the Caravians retreated, Commander Calric sent one final message. You are as dangerous as we feared. This is only the beginning. On board the Pathfinder, Captain Sanchez stood in the quiet aftermath, staring at the broken star's cape. She knew humanity's journey to the stars had irrevocably changed. The galaxy now feared them not as explorers, but as invaders. And Earth's greatest challenge was yet to come. The Battle of Alpha Centauri reverberated across the galaxy. News of humanity's survival against the Caravian Defense Fleet spread like wildfire, solidifying their terrifying reputation. To the Galactic Assembly, the outcome was not merely a skirmish. It was a dire warning. The humans were no longer confined to their planet. They were now players in the galactic arena. Back on Earth, Captain Lila Sanchez stood before a global council convened in the orbital station Horizon Prime. The holographic display around her projected the wreckage of Proxima Centauri b's orbit, showing the remains of Caravian and human ships alike. We didn't go looking for war, she said, her voice steady but laced with determination. But war found us. If we don't prepare, the next encounter might not end in our favor. Earth's leaders debated fiercely. Some argued for a defensive stance, building planetary shields and fortifying the Sol system to protect against future attacks. Others advocated for expanding humanity's reach, arguing that offense was the best defense. Isolation is no longer an option, Admiral Takashi Horimoto declared, his voice cutting through the chamber. The galaxy already sees us as a threat. Whether we like it or not, we must embrace that perception and ensure humanity's survival. The Stellar Defense Initiative, SDI, was born from that meeting. a unified effort to advance Earth's military and technological capabilities while continuing to explore the stars. Research into the Caravian wreckage yielded rapid progress in reverse engineering alien technologies, giving humanity a critical edge. But even as Earth prepared for war, humanity's innate curiosity persisted. Diplomatic envoys were sent to neutral systems, carrying messages of peace. Some species, intrigued by humanity's tenacity, chose to listen. The Iskarans, a nomadic trading race, offered cautious alliances, their curiosity outweighing their fear. The crystalline Surlock species provided ancient star charts, intrigued by Earth's resolve. However, the Caravians were relentless. Their government branded humanity a galactic menace, rallying other species to form the Coalition of Containment. Propaganda flooded the galactic networks, depicting humans as warmongering beasts, their red blood a symbol of their violent nature. One by one, neighboring systems began to fall in line with the Coalition, agreeing to isolate and, if necessary, destroy humanity. For the Caravians, this was a moral imperative, to protect the galaxy from a species that turned adversity into strength. In the midst of these rising tensions, a diplomatic envoy led by Dr. Elena Torres, one of Earth's brightest linguists, was dispatched to meet with a Caravian delegation on neutral ground. Torres's mission was simple: to change the narrative. "We are not monsters," she told the Caravian envoy, her voice earnest. "Yes, our history is filled with conflict, but it's also filled with innovation, cooperation, and resilience. We don't seek domination, we seek understanding." The Caravians listened but remained unmoved. Their leader, Vralakthor, who had once studied humanity, responded gravely, "Understanding is irrelevant when survival is at stake. Your kind adapts too quickly, overcomes too much. What begins with curiosity will end with conquest." The meeting dissolved without resolution, and tensions reached a breaking point. Back on Earth, Captain Sanchez stood at the helm of the newly commissioned ESS Resolute, the flagship of the SDI. As the Coalition fleet massed at the edge of human space, she prepared her crew for what was to come. "We didn't ask for this," she told them, her voice echoing through the ship, "but we will not back down. Humanity has faced extinction before, and every time we've come out stronger. Today will be no different." As the fleets prepared for war, the galaxy held its breath. Would humanity prove to be the saviors they claimed to be, or the destroyers the Coalition feared? The answer would shape the future of the galaxy and the legend of humanity.